right, here we are back with another episode, and we got Paul and Josh. And Paul, would you like to let everyone know what your voice sounds like so they can keep track?
Yeah, I am Paul Dowell,
And Joshua Haupt.
and we are the owners of Tall T Productions.
Hell yeah. So, like we talked about before, this is one we've hoped to do for a long time. So, I'm super, super stoked to have you here. And Josh, it's nice to meet you because I didn't even know that you were involved. I only knew about Paul.
I appreciate that. It's a pleasure to meet you as well, Ethan. Gosh, we got started so long ago, and I've had a few things pulling me in other directions, and Paul has held down the fort for a long time now. So
Yeah.
he deserves the credit for sure.
Absolutely. So let's do just brief backgrounds on where you guys are from individually, and then how you met each other. So Paul, you want to kick it off with where you grew up and just how everything was in the early
Yeah,
days?
yeah. So, Colorado native, born in Denver, 85. So we're a couple of old folks, and then lived in Denver from 85 to 91. Forgive me, I got a scratchy voice. We had the Avalanche game last night, game one of the Stanley Cup final. But yeah, grew up in Denver until 91, and then we moved out to Littleton, which is southwest of Denver, suburb area. I don't know if you're familiar with Red Rocks, but right there, like that was the backyard. And then in 2003 is when I moved up to Breckenridge and started to chase the snow.
Sick.
Uh,
Yeah. And so I don't know if that's when you met Josh, but Josh, you want to give a little bit of your background?
Yeah, not a Colorado native, but I got here as soon as I could. I was born in Kauai, kind of a West Coast mutt growing up, moved around a bunch, lived in Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona. Sixth grade, I moved to Grand Junction and lived there until my senior year of high school, where I relocated to Oregon, up a little suburb of Portland, Lake Oswego, and then came right back for college. Moved to Breckenridge in 2005 and met Paul, and kind of the same thing up there, just really chasing that last call in that first chair, and you get those powder days and those bluebird days, and it was it has been an awesome road, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. All right. So how did you guys meet each other and get linked up as business partners?
we were actually just talking about this. We just wrapped up a lunch, and I was like, so how did we meet each other? And we both went to Colorado Mountain College, CMC. I did a semester. I took 2 classes and knew that was not for me. And he had classes with some of my roommates, Ryan Scholke, Sammy Steen, and they had a break from class, and they had came over to the crib, and that was the first time that Josh and I had met.
yep, it's about right. And honestly, gosh, it seems like forever ago now, but we're looking at about 2006, 2007, and then shortly after started the business.
Yeah. So so what was the birth of the business like? Who kind of had the idea? I mean, 2006, 2007, that's prime like thug era of skiing, super huge shirts,
Yes.
triple layered. So like what was the genesis of like the idea for the business in the first place?
Well, the inspiration behind the business, I grew up, my father very much a serial entrepreneur. That's what had us moving around so much as a kid, and it was always chasing the next opportunity. One of the things I always wanted to launch was a clothing label. As a kid, just big LRG fan, and other companies that had done well for themselves in the space. Was always repping. You hit the nail on the head with that kind of thuggish era, if you will, and we were all wearing tall tees, shredding, and you could get them blank from Foot Locker, but you couldn't get them with designs on them. And so I said, all right, well, let's give it a shot. Let's see if maybe we make some shirts here and we print on them some cool designs. Maybe it'll work. And we had dropped them off at the Big Hit, which is the local shred shop up in Breckenridge. And I dropped off 50 t-shirts, and they called me like 2 weeks later and said, hey, we're all out of shirts. This is really hitting off well. And Paul, myself, Ryan Scholke, Sam Steen, Adam DeLorem, a lot of kind of, I don't want to call them the OGs, but a lot of the OGs in back in the Breck days, we we realized that, hey, there could be something here. And so we printed another round of shirts, really started giving them out and to skiers. And Adam DeLorme is hands down a key conduit to the ski family in general, the whole ski community. He's such a leader within that realm that he was able to give them out to a lot of people that perhaps Paul or I couldn't reach. And they were wearing them for park shoots. They were wearing them. And it really just kind of caught like wildfire. Everybody was liking the brand, and we have slowly and surely just steadily printed more shirts, gotten as creative as we can with them. And it's been a nice little niche that we've been able to ride for a long time now.
Yeah. And Paul, do you remember that happened in the same way?
Yeah. So when I first moved to Breckenridge, I moved to Pinewood Village, small apartment in town. And the person living above me was Adam DeLorme. And so that's how I got first introduced to like free skiing, was through Adam. And I'll never forget, a core memory is I showed up, we went over to the local liquor store, City Liquors, picked up some ice cold Keystone Lights, it's classy. And he threw on section 1242, and it's Tanner Hall walking out on the bridge to Mobb Deep, Shook Ones. And I was like, what the hell is this? And that's like when I first got introduced to like free skiing. Because for people that don't know, I snowboard, Muna snowboards. We're both snowboarders. We don't even ski. So that's, as far as I knew, what skiing was growing up was tight pants, shin guards, going through the gates. Like that's what I knew skiing as. So, getting introduced to Adam was like a game changer. And like, I would not have the slightest clue how big of an influence he would have on my life from that point on, him and Tanner, for both of them.
Yep.
Wow. So you guys both still to this day only snowboard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We'll ski on Gaper Day. We'll have some fun,
That is shocking. I did not know that at all.
Yeah. So there's a hot take for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, Josh, you said your dad was a serial entrepreneur. When you were starting off this, did you get it started properly from the start? LLC, business accounts, all that, or was it just like out the garage?
No. No, it was let's print some t-shirts.
This is for the homies.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
See what happens.
It was one of those things where I had gotten actually a cannabis charge about 6 months before that. And I was driving over Vail Pass, and I had a bunch of weed with me in my Chevy Blazer, and I got pulled over, and car got searched. I went to jail. It was no fun. My dad got me out and was like, "Hey, if I get you off this charge, you're never doing this again." And I said, "Okay, all right, I guess." And I was sitting at my house, and I was like, "Gosh, we got to turn 2 into 4 with something. Let's figure out how we can possibly, maybe this shirt thing." And so we started getting shirts, and it was really one of those things where actually forming the LLC and making a legit business was very much an afterthought. Let's see if this works. And so the first probably 2 years of kind of running the company and giving out shirts and doing it was just all
for fun.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah,
that's what I said. Yeah, just for fun.
It naturally grew into a business.
Yeah. And did you guys have the name like straight from the beginning? Tall T Productions?
Yeah, it's always been Tall T. Yeah, for sure.
And then Muna's boy Keegan is the one that actually like drew up the logo.
Yep.
And what, childhood friend from
childhood friend from Grand Junction days. Yeah. And he was big into the graffiti scene down in Denver at the time. And I went down to see him and said, "Hey, maybe you could help me design this logo. This is what I'm thinking. We really like that graph feel. Let's figure out what we can do." And then, along came the logo. It's still the logo we use today, obviously. And I think it's a lot more recognizable as far as the name. People can read it better. A lot of times over the years, people weren't sure if it was a symbol, if it was actually a word. And that kind of, I think, really helped us with just having something that was very unique and different.
Yeah. And so we've actually gotten some viewer questions about that, even though that's far in the future now. But how have your thoughts about the logo evolved over time? Because I'm sure it's caused some confusion. Do you think that's hurt the business at all? People look at it and they're like, "Is that Arabic? Is that Like what's going on with
Yeah,
it?
we get that all the time for sure, and a lot of people can't read it. But then, like once you like show the outline of the TALLT, then people are like, oh, that says tall T, and it's like, yep, right there for you.
I mean, the goal for this company has always been to really do our own thing, at our own pace, with our own ideas and kind of what's going on. So we never really were influenced too heavily by outside people's. We never really took on investments or anything. So it was always just really, hey, it's really unique and different. Perfect. We're not looking to fit this into everything else that's going on in the world. We want it to be something that really complements, our styles. And I think the logo, in a lot of ways, whether it's a Nike check or any logo out there, there should be somewhat of a story behind it. And I think that, with ours, there's no exception there. It was very fitting to the times and fitting to our style. And even to this today, I think is even a further testament that the logo has, withstood the test of time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been something that I've recognized like the entire time I've been skiing. I was born in '98, so there's no
Ah,
chance for me to remember life before Talty
Nice,
being at the mountain, you know?
doing our part.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And when did you first hear about the brand?
I think it was the first time I saw it, I think it was a Tell a Friend tour. They
Yep.
had come into town and they had given me a keychain, and I had that like through all of high school. And I
Nice.
was
Yeah.
like,
So
sick. I think I might have seen it like
Oh,
on some
yeah.
sweatshirts in passing, but when I was younger, it was still very much like the full like top to bottom kit. Yeah,
Yep. And I can't even really remember how I got hooked up with Andy. I think it might have been like through News Schoolers or something. I think I'd done a campaign with News Schoolers, and then Andy like reached out and was like, "Yo, you want to jump on the Tell a Friend tour?" And I was like, "Yeah," not even second guessing it.
yeah, it was sick. I think I might still have that. I wish I had it with me. That'd be an awesome prop. But
I know
still one of my
exactly which
dad's.
keychain you're talking about.
Yeah. Is it a metal one?
No, it was just like it was
Rubber?
kind of like a light fabric, and it was one of those longer ones. It's like a foot long, and you kind of just walk through
Oh,
the
it's like
hallway and twirl
the
it.
lanyards you're talking
Yeah,
about? Yep,
yeah,
yep,
Okay.
for
exactly.
sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
We still get our lanyards from the same supplier.
Yep.
It's awesome.
You guys are loyalists. Same logo, same supplier. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Well, and then like, another thing that gets confusing too is like our sizing, right? So a large shirt is also considered a 96, a 102 is a XL, a 3XL is a 108, and then our 5XL size is team size. And so, when people are like, what's a 96? What's a 102? And it's like just trying to be different,
Yeah, and a lot of that came from us trying to size things similar to jerseys. Like jerseys would always carry a different size back in the day. And so,
And that's where the tag came from.
yeah,
Like the lower left tag on a shirt is replicated from basketball jerseys.
yep,
That's
yep.
genius. I didn't even
That's,
make that connection.
yeah,
That
that's
is
where we
genius.
caught that idea.
Yeah. So you guys said it was about 2 years before, like it was before it was taken kind of seriously as a business. Um, what was that transition like from, oh, this is just, something we're doing with our buds to, hey, let's, we'll, sell these shirts to kids back east, maybe get some shirts up to Quebec. Like how does it get
Well,
get beyond your immediate friend circle?
That would be
when did Chris build the website for us? Because I'd say that's when we took it serious and we're like, all right,
that
let's
was
make
it.
this a business.
Yeah,
We're gonna build the website.
We're talking 2008, 2009 right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and I had just gotten it. I had a good friend of mine, Brian Sams, who lived up in Breckenridge. He was like, "Dude, you've got a lot of shirts going around. What do you mean you're not incorporated?" I was like, "No, not at all." And he's like, "Okay, well let's do this." And so I had a good friend of mine help us with that. And yeah, it was just a process of, I guess we got to jump through these hoops. Let's make it as legit as we can. And it was never we got to raise capital. We got to do these other things. It was just really honestly like, all right, cool. This is the evolution of it. Let's see if it works. And it works. Okay, well let's make it legit. And
But we've
so,
we've both always had other jobs. Like we weren't
yeah,
just relying on Tall Tea for
yeah,
income.
yeah.
Yeah,
This
that's
has
what
always
that's what I was
been
gonna ask because
fun
those early
stuff.
years, like, what are you guys doing for work at this time? All this is just kind of your side gig.
I mean, I waited tables at Mikasa and Breckenridge, Empire Burger. I did sales.
What were you doing sales for the timeshares?
Yeah, I did sales for timeshares up there. We give you 2 nights in Breck for $99. That was a wild time. And then I worked for an energy company that my father actually owned, and I did that for a while, and then really dove into cannabis. Has been kind of the venture for myself, and I know Paul's obviously got his own story there as well. But it's always been more of a, this is what we want to do with our profits because this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
then,
It's a great creative outlet. Yeah, Paul, what were you doing?
well, my first job was making pizza at Papa Murphy's Pizza when I was 14 years old. But my grandparents, my dad's side, they lived in Kansas, so I'd go out to the farm like every summer, go work on the farm, roof houses, and then. But when I moved to Breck, I worked on the mountain. I scanned tickets, and then I also worked the summer too. They have like the Alpine slide and putt golf and all that shit. And that's like pretty much carny work. So I felt like a carny for sure doing that work. And then eventually got a job delivering pizzas up there for Windy City Pizza. And I was working with my boy Justin Zook. He was the owner of the pizza shop, and I did that for a long time, and then just still managed the company while I was doing that.
Yeah. And neither of you live in Breck anymore, correct?
No, we're in Denver now.
Yep.
Sick.
We're working our way to get back up there.
Yeah, we're trying to get back.
Yeah.
We're over the rat race.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's time to cash out and just relax for a little bit. I don't know. So this is what I wanted to ask you guys. How has Breck changed over the years? Because all I've seen is the current day version of it. Was it
Yeah.
like, what was it like back in the early 2000s? Was it a little bit more laid back?
Yeah, it was definitely like
Say
small town vibe. It wasn't so resort feeling. There wasn't
Yeah.
condos everywhere. They didn't even have the gondola yet.
Yep.
And it was all about just shredding with your homies every day.
Yeah, that's
First chair, last call. Like that's what it was.
Yeah.
100%.
So being businessmen first, maybe rather than ski bums right now. What do you guys think of the explosion of Breck? Do you think it's bad for the area, good for the area? Like, how do you guys look at it?
I think that I believe the growth is always something that's going to be great, and change is something that, if you can't get out of it, you better find a way to get through it in all things in life. And, as Vail Resorts has invested more capital into that area, you've seen this in a massive explosion of popularity, people trying to get there. It's very much a destination resort now. I think that's fantastic for the economy and just the overall market up there. And so for me, I can't hate on it. I do wish that maybe the lift lines were a little bit smaller, and kind of working on that for weekends. And at the same time, that's part of it. It's Breck's such an amazing place. And, all of my favorite restaurants back then are still there. So it hasn't changed a ton. There's been a lot of good things. I do know that their peak season still has about 35,000 people in the town, and their summer season has about 3,500 people that live there. So a lot of those numbers are still consistent. You just have a massive influx of people trying to get there throughout the year.
Yeah.
But love Breck. You can't say enough great things about it.
Yeah.
But it is like the tourist hotspot, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
totally.
always cranking, and they like got rid of the parks and shit, or like it's not like it used to be, and I'm not in favor of it, but it's like it's part of the deal, right? Like,
Yeah.
when more money comes in, more people are going to show up, more condos are going up, and it is what it is. But like I haven't shredded Breck in years, probably like 5 years.
Yeah, well said. And whenever I do get a chance to get out, we're going and playing on snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've
on
been like
the ponies with no lift lines. Let's go.
Yeah. And I've been like hitting up the copper scene lately. It's just a little bit quieter over there, not so resort type.
Yeah, not yet, at least.
And not
Well said.
Yeah. So I don't really know the timeline of the business. So when was it that you guys split ways and Josh, you started doing entering the cannabis world? I'm not sure if there was some other big moment before then, but what was next up for you guys?
I mean, it was probably 2013, right?
Yeah, that's right on. Yeah. So we moved down to Denver about 2013, and had a commercial cannabis operation, kind of getting started early cannabis days. Myself, I have epilepsy, so I've had a medical card since a very young age, and have been in the cannabis space since I was 15. So a little over 21 years now. And for me, it was one of those things where I had my first kid. I have 3 daughters now. One of them is 13 years old. I have a 4-year-old, and I have a 19-month-old. And so My 13-year-old, I had her in 2009 when we were jamming hard, and I realized that if I'm going to provide for this beautiful little angel here, I've got to work hard. And Tall Tea has always been a company that I fed versus got fed by, in a lot of ways. And so for me to, to push hard, I was like, I got to focus on this cannabis thing. I want to stay as close as possible to the company. And Paul and I have always been, the easiest way to say is brothers. And so for me, I was like, dude, you got the reins, bro. You let me know how I can help. You got it. And that would be right around 2000, probably 14. We made that transition. I was working really hard on a book called 3-A-Lite. It teaches you how to do well for yourself in the garden. I figured I'd write a book on how to grow cannabis because there really wasn't a book available yet. And then that turned into, okay, cool. Let's do a nutrient line as well. Then that turned into, hey, let's go consult. And that turned into, hey, you're going to get bought by these big public companies. You're going to go be an executive at a public company. And it's been a wild road since then. But it's one of those things where Tall Tea's the roots. Paul and I are always a phone call away from each other. That would be my 2 cents on it.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely accurate.
Yeah.
And then, once he was diving in heavy on the cannabis scene, it's like, I just took full reins. It's like, I got it. I can run the show. And, the rest is kind of history.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you already have the studio set up and everything by that point, or was that still in the future?
So, okay, we can kind of give you the timeline of like how the storage and like where we keep everything. So
this is a good one.
You can tell how it started, and then I can take over from where it picked up.
Yeah. So we started it with
Your closet.
Really just in my, honestly, like an extra closet that we had that I could fold a bunch of t-shirts and just keep them in there. And then when people needed them, I'd just grab from the inventory, hook them up. Cause it was really just kind of a backdoor thing that we were doing, just hooking good friends that we knew up, and, Adam and Tanner and Ahmet and a lot of the significant skiers now from back then were wearing it. And that's really what started pushing it around the world. If there was a ski resort, if there's a ski resort in the world, we've shipped a Tall Tea there, no questions asked. And so we were storing it, just in our apartment. We had 4 of us living in a 2-bedroom spot. I mean, that's how we did it back in the day in Breck, for sure. Making it work with the roommate scenario. And then we moved down to Denver.
Well,
way before then, actually.
Yeah,
we moved up to High Point.
Yeah. So I got a house with Adam DeLorme, Tanner Rainville, Sam Steen, Ryan Scholke, Elliot Halverson. It was like a 7-bedroom house. It was like a big house. And we had like this little mud room or like sky room or whatever you want to call it.
Built some shelves in there.
And that was like the home base for a while, for probably 5 years or so.
Yeah. A lot of shirts to fold.
And so like, Downey and DeLorme, those boys were so connected with all the other heavy names in the game. So they would come by the house, grab a couple teas, and, that's how the word spread like wildfire. So then from there, that's when we moved to Denver. And then I got a house down in Denver and we put it in my garage in there.
Yep.
And then it was in there for about 2 years. And then some good friends of ours, one of the kids I lived with, Sam Steen, and then another good friend, Mike Delaney, they opened a creative space, warehouse space with 3,000-4,000 square feet maybe.
Yeah. And we're like, let's take some space in there
and
get
so
it out of the garage.
We rented space from them and we were there for about 2 years. And then now we're in with our screen printer, Superior Ink, and it's like a 15,000 square foot warehouse. And we're renting like 2,000 of that for all of our products. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at now.
We've been there for like 6 years now?
6, yes. We've been there for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
So everything's in-house. All the printing's in-house, all the embroidery's in-house. It makes everything like super hands-on.
Yep.
Have you the sourcing of like the shirts? How have you handled that over the shirts and the sweatshirts and the bucket hats and all of that? Like, have you? Because there's no way you can do it all by hand.
Yeah. In the very beginning, we were able to find shirts. We would try and find. It was really hard to find a tall T-shirt cut, and I found someone I had known that had gone to China was like, hey, I can introduce you to somebody in China that could potentially make these shirts for you. And next thing you know, we're we're going back and forth, and we got our first order of shirts, and we're like, all right, this is the one. Let's go. So,
Well, how did you meet Sasha?
that was through that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we still get them from
Well,
Sasha.
she's done now.
She's out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got a new manufacturer. See,
There we
that's
go.
how far behind he is.
There we go. Yeah. So we can talk about that transition, but yeah, no, it's been we source the shirts from a blank, and then we'll print on them when they get here.
In the beginning, we were getting shirts from like Shaka and Dream USA,
Yep.
and then we would go to Hobby Lobby and we would buy a bunch of fabric for the hip tag.
Yep. And then we'd
And then-
have our screen printers print the tag,
Cut-
take them to Carl, cut and sew, and then they would sew the tag on the shirt, and then we would take it and print on it. And it was
a lot of steps.
a lot of steps.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys have some help now with the printing and with the embroidery. But how many shirts do you think that you guys yourselves have printed over the years and actually put the Tall T logo on?
Oh, thousands for sure. But we haven't done any of the printing. We don't do any of the printing. We've always worked with a screen printer.
So we'd get the piles of shirts and we'd fold them, and then we'd get them ready to ship or ready to give out. That's
probably a better question is how many t-shirts have you folded?
How many do you think you folded? Probably tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
I was about
for sure.
to say that's a high number.
Tens
man.
of thousands for sure.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
the stickers is a good question too. How many stickers have you peeled and cut? And
Yeah.
that's I don't even want to.
Yeah, we got our own
number.
vinyl cutting machine, so we could put stickers everywhere, and we've had some unique stories putting up stickers. That's for sure.
So from the start, you guys have hired people to do the screen printing?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Friends had screen printers, so it was one of those things where, hey, we can print these shirts for $2 a piece. Let's send us the designs type of thing, or whatever the price was. So we'd say, all right, cool, let's get them in.
Yeah. So obviously it exploded within skiing. Did it ever catch on in snowboarding, the brand?
Well, yeah. I mean, a bunch of our homies that were snowboarders would rep the brand. Like it just naturally hit the ski market because of Delorme and Downey and shit. It's like those guys got us so plugged with everyone. Like
Rainville,
Rainville,
Hall, all
Tanner,
of them. Henrik. I remember Adam telling me about Henrik. He goes, "This kid is the truth. He just got picked up by Oakley. He's gonna." And this was like 2000.
Yeah, early.
It must have been 2010.
Yeah,
this was a long time ago. Henrik was he was just getting. As far as I had never heard of him, and I was like, I hooked him up. We're gonna get this kid some shirts.
Well, then
he came and stayed at the house. When he watched How High, isn't that how he learned?
And then they would do summer camp at Hood, and every time they would take like a whole tote of teas, and like all the coaches are out there and shit. So it's like it was about who you knew, and like we just got plugged in with the right kids, and like all those kids are family now.
Yeah. So it seems like you've always been doing it for the love. Were you worried about giving out so much product for free at first, or didn't even bother you at all?
It was always it is still for the love, man. I mean, this is one of those things where you could crunch a P&L report or things like that, and it was hey man, we're doing this because this is what we want to do. This is fun, awesome scene, great people, great energy, and we're pushing hard towards something that we love to do,
and just making kids feel good about what they're wearing.
Yeah, totally. I think the first person that I had talked to on the podcast that really showed a lot of love for Tall T was Ryan Barrick. He was like, yeah, Paul hooks it up every year. Like my whole closet is basically Tall T stuff. So that's super sick.
Yep. Ryan's been on the program for a while now. So, much love to him.
Yeah. Do you got a couple other people that you hook up like that where it's like every time you see them, they're wearing Tall T basically?
Yeah, there's definitely a handful of them for sure that are getting the right treatment.
Yeah. That's sick. So early days, I don't know if it was just because so many people were wearing them in the movies, but how plugged in were you for sponsoring ski movies when they were at the height of their production? Tons of money going into it. How did you guys get plugged in with the level ones, all that?
I think when Adam got invited to Echo Mountain for a shoot, for a park shoot. I think it was called Eclipse back then.
Yep.
And they were just hitting this white big barrel, but he was the star of the show for sure. They're like, who the fuck is this kid? And level one was like, what are all these tall tees these kids are wearing? And then that's when Adam plugged us, and then both of us started talking with Josh, and I think the first movie we sponsored was Turbo. I
Yep.
want to say, I have to go
Yep.
back because it's been so long, but I mean, we
Turbo,
sponsored
iTrip,
probably 5 or 6 level 1 movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Downey like gave Tanner Hall one of the Lion shirts, one of the Ross Lion shirts at Hood one summer, and he like never took it off.
That was like,
Never took it off. And then so some marketing guy from Oakley calls us and he's like, "Are you these tall tee guys? Like, can you like help make some t-shirts for Tanner because he's not wearing any Oakley shit and
So
like he's only wearing this tall t-shirt." So we made like
Oakley
gear just for Tanner. And then we made some Armada shit too, like just for the Armada boys, like for Phil, Henrik, Pat, Tanner, Hornbeck. It's like all these heavy hitters with all these other sponsors are repping our shit, versus the companies that are like compensating them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So now that those days of the big movies, like feature length films basically are kind of behind, would you guys feel comfortable discussing like the actual business structure of those deals, like what you would give and what you would get in return? Because now it just seems like you slap a logo in the intro and that's really all you get for sponsoring a movie. But was it different?
Which a lot of times we were trading gear a lot of the times. So we would throw cash when we could, but a lot more often than not,
it was product.
They would take product and then sell the product from their platforms. And we would make a tall tee level 1 shirt, or we make a tall tee level 1 hoodie, whatever it was. And we would just give it to them. And then that would usually suffice for our sponsorship fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, later on down the line, it was like, all right, product plus cash.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, I'd rather just give the cash to the athletes.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'd rather give it to the athletes than the production company.
Pay for someone's trip to Japan. Let's help them with their plane ticket versus
or an Airbnb or gas money or
whatever,
whatever
that's ski life. I mean, a lot of the times, you're not balling too hard. And so whatever we can do to help, we always try to support our athletes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's kind of just like audience sharing, basically.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Clever. Let's see. So Paul, I think you hinted at it a little bit when you mentioned that Josh has been out of the loop for a while. So when did you finally make your departure, and Paul was just completely taking the reins, and you were kind of checked out from the business?
I would say it was right around when I dropped the book. I dropped the book November 20th, 2015, and my life got kind of crazy at that point. I was having a lot of the book just did incredibly well. It is called 3 A Light. We sold it for $500 a copy. That was more of a business play than the tall tee thing. And the nutrient line did really well. I was responsible for about 50,000 square feet of canopy space for cannabis production in Denver. Had over 100 employees. And that was one of those things where I kind of had to hit timeout on anything that wasn't really right in this lane with cannabis. And so I was like, Paul, you got it, bro. Anything you need, of course, call me, let me know. I want to help. And Paul really took it and ran, and I got sucked in the corporate world is probably the best way to put that.
But I was still on his team on all the cannabis side. Like I was helping with all that still too, and running the business.
So we worked together in a lot of capacities this entire time, honestly, up until about 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago now.
The end of 2020 is when I dipped out on the corporate side, the corporate cannabis scene, and I'm 100% in on the tall tee side now.
Yeah.
But we've been working together the entire time.
Oh, sick. So you guys have always been seeing each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, you wrote the book. So could you go a little bit more in depth about what the cannabis business actually is? I'm sorry, I didn't do more research on that side of your business.
No, you're good. You're good. It was just it is a how to grow cannabis, and for a long time, especially back 2013, 14, 15. Nowadays, there's a lot more information about it. But before, if you wanted to learn how to grow cannabis, you literally had to piece a couple articles together from High Times, maybe a couple Google searches, and you kind of give it your best shot. And it was one of those things where what we were doing in the garden was producing such different yields and results than other people that I knew that were growing cannabis. I said, well, let's write a book about it. Let's see how it works.
People wouldn't leave him alone. They're like, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? How are you doing this? And it's like, finally, he's like, all right, I'm going to write a book on what we do, why we do it, how we do it. And I was like, go for it, and sure enough, he had a master plan, and it came through and changed hundreds of lives, if not thousands of lives. Like, people all over the world use the book and use the processes that we were using to grow cannabis. And, it was a game changer.
Big
Yeah.
time.
So it was the how-to book, and then on top of that, were you did you run your own farm and you were actually like a distributor?
Yep.
Was that another side of the business?
Yeah, right around peak production, we were probably pumping out somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 pounds a month of product to the Colorado market. Yeah, big facilities. A lot of revenue. It was jumped right into the deep end of the big boy league with finances. It's pretty easy math to do when you're selling them for 2,000 a pound. It adds up quick, and so that was taking a ton of my attention. And thank God for Paul when it came to Paul would manage everything from merge to social media to website to company image to honestly overall strategizing. When it was like, Paul, do we do this or this next? He and I would we would get deep into discussions, and then the decision would get made and we'd go a different directions. So we've been each other's right hand for a long time.
And I was fully invested in the cannabis scene too, almost to the point where we were talking about shutting Tall Tea down and just running this cannabis game.
Yeah, how do we make this work? And
because selling a $40 t-shirt, versus a $2,000 pound, it's night and day, right?
Yeah.
But the passion's always been there with the apparel brand, so it's like it's hard to just say no, we're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and Paul, I mean, as you were talking, you turned your head. Did you guys incorporate a pot leaf onto into the Tall Tea logos?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
however you want to incorporate it. If you want to think of it as a pot leaf, you can, or if you want to think of it as a Japanese maple leaf, you can think of it that way. I mean, I get parents all the time shooting us emails like, "What's up with this leaf?" And it's it's however you want to interpret it.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, no, it's a deep part of our culture, and honestly, a big part of what allowed us to have this journey. I mean, the money had to come from somewhere, and how we did it, and it's been obviously we had both of our jobs. We were pushing hard, and we would throw capital through those items, and cannabis certainly was a key conduit as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, you said that you didn't want to shut down Tall Tea because it was such a passionate thing. Do you guys have any other creative outlets that you just really tap into when you need a break from the corporate stuff, or is Tall Tea kind of the main creative outlet?
Well, we were able to be creative on the cannabis side, but once we got acquired corporately, you want to say, right? Like,
Yeah,
things kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe Muna could answer that a little bit better than I can.
Yeah, as far as creative outlets, just the overall coming from a serial entrepreneur, being one now myself and Paul as well, there's so much creativity when it comes to not only kind of, birthing a business, but also, growing that business up. There's a lot of challenges that come along the road. And when it comes to product development, there's so much creativity there. It doesn't matter what business you're in, if you want to stay with the times, you need to be, embracing that change. You need to be thinking about what's coming next, really skating to where the puck's going, as opposed to where it is in life. And so creativity for us has been, and we were just talking about, hey, this next drop, let's make sure we got 8 new designs going. This is, these are the things we want to be hitting. And, this is potentially the new fabric we want to be going with. Creativity has always just been almost as easy as breathing. We just want to make sure we're constantly pushing something that's unique and different, something that's fun, something that our community can embrace. And, here we are.
Yeah. And Paul, feel the same way?
Yeah. I'll echo all of that for sure.
Yeah. So who do you guys, I'm not sure how big of a hand you have in the art design, but who does all these designs? I'm just like, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of like the elephants and like all the Rastafarian imagery. Like who's the actual artist behind all this stuff?
There's a
Like that?
there's a bunch of
okay.
different artists for sure, but
Yeah.
like the Rasta Lion and the One Love and I mean, what are some other ones Noah did?
So oh gosh, so many, the Music Tee, the Skyline, all of them. So a lot of our original designs were done by one artist who was a great friend, awesome guy. He lives down in New Zealand now, and we haven't been able to get him to do a design for us for a while, but I'm going to hit him up and try and get him back involved. Noah Cremasino, he was a massive key part to the development of kind of these ideas and helping them come to life. Since then, we've engaged in dozens of artists.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah, lots and lots of artists. And it's just, the ones that can come with the heat and the cool stuff, we want to put it on shirts, and the ones that possibly don't, we want to work with them still and try and improve on those ideas. So,
But we'll come up with the concepts, and
Yeah.
then we'll have the artist put in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. So do you reach out to them, or are you having people reach out to you saying, "Hey, my art fits your style"?
I would say it's both.
Yep.
Definitely both.
Yep. The older the company's gotten, the more. Before it was always us reaching out, and now it's definitely, I would say, Paul can give you the statistic better, but I would argue it's a lot more of them reaching back to us now.
For sure, and especially when it comes to like all the collaborations too.
Yep.
Yeah. So what like have you had some notable collabs throughout the years? I think Paul, you hinted at one on our phone call the other day that
Yeah.
when I dropped that meme, but that one hasn't happened
yeah.
yet.
So the Oakley one, that's big time, and then Inspired Media, Level One, Muted, Treeport Lifestyles, Armada. Yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch, and then
The Nuggets.
yeah, Denver Nuggets. I mean, we just printed the Nikola Jokic MVP jerseys or shirt. That was like all time for me for sure, because I mean, we're both diehard Denver Nuggets fans, so getting the opportunity to make shirts for them was a dream come true, to say the least.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
But yeah, like we had talked on the phone, Arsenic, there's been talk about working with Tall T Dan. I mean, what he does for the community is unbelievable. Like the amount of passion and love that dude shows for everyone in skiing, and he's preaching the right words. So I would love to get something on the chopping block with him.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess while we're talking about him, let's clear it up. So you Paul, you are not Tall T Dan, and you're also not Ski Creative.
Nope.
You guys are three separate people.
Yes, we are. And a lot of people get confused thinking Tall T Dan, like my own Tall T Productions. But if you like do your homework, you can kind of figure it out. I just think being named Tall T and him being Tall T Dan, there's just too much similarity going on for people to not get confused.
Yeah. And is that is that happening all the time? That
I
people are mixing
wouldn't
up?
say all the time, but it happens enough. I've like dropped him a couple messages being like, yo, bro, we should probably hop on the live and just like kind of clear the air for everyone, let them know like, hey, we're running Tall T Productions, this is Tall T Dan. But yeah, no, it's all love for sure.
Yeah. And so speaking of other companies, back in the early days when you guys were first starting, were you looking at any other companies doing something similar as inspiration, or was Tall T's always sort of a bootleg thing?
Well, when he mentioned LRG, I mean, that's kind of been
LRG,
like
yeah.
the bread and butter. I
Yeah.
looked up to those guys forever.
Absolutely, LRG. Yeah.
Mhm.
for
So
sure.
I'm not familiar with LRG. What is
So
the
it's the Lifted Research Group, but it's an apparel company,
Oh,
like
right.
skate scene and hip hop culture, and
Yep.
yeah, it's completely the same as Tall T.
You make me feel like an old man over here. I love it.
Yeah,
I know, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, Lifted Research Group is the name of that. Is what LRG stands for, and they're a company out of Cali. Just really good vibe, great mission there as well. And so for us, they of course, like all other shirt companies, didn't make Tall Tees, so that was kind of our niche, saying, hey, we'll make these shirts, but we'll make them really cool designs, but we'll make them the fit that we want to wear when we're skiing every day.
And
Yeah.
like, I've always liked big clothes. Like in high school, it was like all about Woo Wear and Johnny Blaze and like, all Echo and all the big shit. So like, I've always had like a love for bigger, baggier clothing. I mean, even in elementary school, like I rollerbladed. That was like the big thing in the 90s, right? Rollerblading took off. So everyone was wearing big jeans, big shirts. So like I kind of just fell in love with it and haven't stopped since. And here we
Yeah.
are 20 years later, 25 years later.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you guys really want to feel old, definitely listen to like some of the new generation I've had on. I just had Henry with Jib Skin. He's a 17-year-old. I'm like, what do you think of the older generation? You know, the three Phils, and he's like, I don't know who those guys are, and I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
I actually got a chance to listen to it. I was super impressed. I couldn't believe how much he already knew at being only 17, and trying to run his own business.
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
crazy. So I mean, so you guys have been around, you know, like you said, for 20 years doing this, and styles have definitely changed. Have you ever thought that, you know, the tight pant, everything tight wave has threatened your business at all, or has it been pretty consistent over the years?
I mean, the business is still growing. After all these years, it's still growing. But like, I would say like the peak time was 2013 to 2018. It was like everybody in the industry that was somebody was like repping big gear.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And with that, I think that, product development and what got us into this was really just putting together cool shirts that we wanted to wear. So although our name is Tall T, I believe that the logo that we have and the overall mission of our organization and Tall T in general is something that we could make a Tall T that's a fitting shirt. We could switch up the material on it. We could still do some really cool things, and we still do some things that that are for more, like I said, skating to where the puck's going, not to where it's at.
Yeah.
And I mean, we just like dropped a bunch of dry fits. They're all casual fitting t-shirts. They're either large or XL, and they're not even tall, and they're almost gone. So there's a need for regular fitting shirts, and we'll do that. And like our large shirt isn't even considered tall, I wouldn't say. Like it's more of just a regular large t-shirt.
I'm wearing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks normal. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely guilty of sizing down when ordering stuff from you because I want a sweatshirt, but I want to look like I'm wearing a dress when I'm just walking around.
Right.
Walking
Well,
around.
the team size shirts, the 108 shirts, those are meant for people, 6 foot or higher. I mean, if you're 5'10" and you're wearing a team size, yeah, it's going to look way too big on you. But, who are we to say what people can wear and how they want to wear it, right?
Yeah, that's where like the phrase "the customer's always right" comes in. You know, everyone thinks it's about how they treat the service workers. It's all about taste. If somebody wants something that you think is ugly, well, the customer's always right. Who are you to say that, this is
Right.
right and this is wrong? Wow. Um, have you guys ever, shirts are your business. It's a shirt company. A lot like, other episodes I've done where like this is a pants company at the end of the day. Have there been any products that you've dropped that were kind of out of the box and you were taking a risk? Like, I don't know. I think I might have seen a tall tea lighter at some point, or, the
Yeah,
lanyards.
we can't sell those on the website, but we have them. So if you want one, just drop a note in the notes section and we'll throw one in there for you.
But yeah,
And the
we've
rolling
done,
papers too.
yeah, rolling papers.
We did a ski collaboration with HG Skis, and then I'm drawing a blank on the last one. Deviation. We just did a collab with them as well. But we did ski collabs with HG for like 3 or 4 seasons. We did like the signature pro model with Keegan. I think he did 3 sets of skis with them as a collab with us.
And then didn't we just do some pants?
Yup.
So yeah, pants, hoodies, everything, hats, just kind of whatever you feel like or we feel like would complement, your outerwear for skiing. I think the only thing we haven't really touched on was like gloves.
Yeah, no gloves.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do some outerwear this year too. We're gonna do a couple jackets, so that'll be fun to get our hands on.
You guys ever get a logo on a boot at any point?
No,
Full toe or
haven't done
anything? No.
that. No.
I haven't done that, no.
That'd be kind of hard. That'd be cool.
Yep.
Um, oh, I lost what I was thinking of. I got wrapped into that. Oh, is there any product that you haven't done yet that you'd be really itching to do? You just don't know how it'd be received. I know that like I think of Arsenic, they do set like Dan does such out of the box stuff. He did mud flaps at one point. Is there something you would do even though you think it wouldn't sell?
Not really. I just think we really need to jump into this outerwear game because I mean kids keep asking for it.
Yeah. And before I forget it, because we really glossed over it, why can't you sell lighters on the website?
That's a good question. I don't know. We use Shopify and they pulled it. They just said you can't sell it on there. The same with the rolling papers. So I don't know. I don't get it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. But if you want a pack of papers or if you want a lighter, just drop a note in the notes section. We'll throw one in there for you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I think we naturally found our way to the future of the company. I mean, do you have any other thoughts on what the future looks like for you guys?
I think it's really going to be complementing, what's worked well in the past, and Paul hit the nail on the head is really, how do we expand into outerwear, and how do we, really complement the next generation of riders. What are they looking to get their hands on, and how can we support that?
And we got a couple of the young bucks on the program, so I feel like we're in good hands. Because
So-
the rest of us are getting pretty old, man. I mean, we're pushing 40, bro.
Yeah. Do you guys have any concerns that like the younger generation, like I said with Henry, they're like they kind of don't really care about the what came before them? Do you think that it's essential that you get Tall T tapped into the younger generation for the survival of the business?
I do. I
Mm.
do for sure. Yeah.
Do you feel
'Cause
like
if you don't have the youth repping, then what do you have, right?
yeah? So how do you approach that? I mean, the social media presence is just awesome, so I think that's definitely super helpful.
Yeah,
But like
we got to thank our team manager Liam Downey. He's out there coaching all the young kids, so he's at the forefront. Let me know, who needs to get involved. So he's been a huge asset to the company.
that's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we got some viewer questions from the community. The first one, it's the one that you kind of hinted at the beginning. What's the hot take that you guys have?
Competition skiing is whack.
All right. We'll take that one. Definitely. Yeah, that's definitely one that a lot of people have repeated. Josh, how do you feel?
Oh, I'd have to second that. I think that, doing it for the love. Hey, we want to, and I'm not suggesting that, you focus on your following, focus on, your own audience, things like that, but just make sure that you're there because you're passionate about it. The moment you feel like you're working a job is the moment that, you take a different approach to it throughout your day and throughout your life in general, no matter what you're doing. So, whatever it is that you got going on, and, just make sure your priorities are straight. And for us, it's, we want to make sure that, we're hooking people up, whether you're on the program or whether you're getting our products in general. We want to make sure that, you're in a good spot in your life and you're out there skiing because that's exactly what you want to be doing. And, and even if it's the competition skiing, hey, if that's your jam, we wish you the best. And, I'm a huge fan of the opposite, but, just kids that are out there doing it for the love and, enjoying the park days and, getting the clips. That's probably my answer.
I just think when you're investing so much time and energy to, 3 to 6 people judging on what you're doing, I just think it's silly, honestly. Like, what I think is good style is going to probably be completely different than what a judge thinks is good style, So like when people put all this time and energy into competitions, I just feel like you're losing sight of like, why are you actually skiing? Like, why are you on the mountain, And it's like, it's for the experience. It's to be with your homies. It's to have fun. It's like, that's the point. Like, why let 3 to 6 judges tell you what's cool and what's not cool? So I don't know. I've just never been a big fan of like the whole comp scene.
Yeah. Oh, and so you've always felt that way. There was never a point like in the early days where it was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Well, I mean, like when X Games first came out, that was 95, I think, was the first summer X Games. And like that changed my life, right? Like I'm like, oh, dope. Like we're having competitions with skiing and skateboarding and snowboarding. Like this is dope. But like just the older I've gotten, like the less appreciation I have for X Games and all that shit. And I mean, it was dope to see the boys in the Olympics, but it's like at the end of the day, like I just think skiing is an experience and not meant to be judged.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Yeah. How do you? I mean, since we're just talking about the change over time, this is something I actually wanted to ask you guys about. Since you've been doing it for 20 years, like, what do you think of the general trends going on right now? This is something that a lot of people like to talk about on the show, like the rise of social media. And you guys saw movies at their height. So, what do you think of everything that's going on now with like the big production companies kind of either going under or changing their methods? Like,
yeah, it just feels like everybody's doing their own project, right? Like, why do I need a production company if I can just get a camera myself? I have an Instagram, I have a TikTok. Like, why do I need these production companies anymore? So I feel like that's why they're falling off. And, like Level One hasn't dropped a movie in what, 3 years or something since, because there's just not, no one wants to do it anymore.
Yeah. And so do you think that's a good trend for like, athletes kind of taking back their own destiny?
I wouldn't say it's a good or bad trend. I just think it's the way of the future.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's definitely the case with business. Like I didn't, I wanted to do this series to kind of tap into it more. And a lot of these businesses, it's just like a kid that's just making handmaids one of one. They're not, they don't need permission from some big
Right.
design house to become a designer. They just do it themselves. So I think it's like, I mean, even this podcast, I'm not waiting for some network to pick me up. It's just buy a mic and get to it.
Exactly.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. The future is wild. I mean, we didn't grow up with the internet, like internet came out in 95, 96. I think the only reason I was using it was to download music. I mean, and like just to see where we're at 20 years later, it's insane for sure.
Yeah. And Josh, I mean, you could definitely speak to times changing. I mean, you got arrested for cannabis when you were younger, and now that's how you're making your money primarily. Like, what
Yeah.
has that change been like for you just to see that in your lifetime?
It's good. I think it's great. I mean, I think that there's certain things in this world, especially around the laws, that make sense, and a lot of them that don't. So let's make sure that we're not that we're not staying stagnant, and that we're always embracing change, and that we're always kind of embracing the road ahead. And if it means that we need to have more of an open mind to something as like cannabis being a medicine, I think that's fantastic. And I also feel like when it comes to kind of Level One not making a movie for 3 years, and but I would also suggest that if you look at the amount of kind of clips of young writers that have come out, that numbers increase exponentially. So kids can go viral on their own, which is awesome. I think that's great. You can really be in charge of your own destiny. And the fact that you're doing this and you're not waiting for some production company to pick you up, that is where you'll look back on these days, because obviously, you're getting an act for it and you're getting good. You'll look back on these days and be so stoked that, this is where you started. Because when you get into things and you do it for the love, you will by far and above exceed everybody else that got in it for other reasons. And so, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I think I was talking about, I think with Dickie Stiza, the guy that was that the episode hasn't even come out yet. I think I'm gonna drop it tomorrow. But you can't wait for permission. You just got to go out and just do it. You can't
Yeah.
stand
Anything
there. You
has
got
to
to
be
ask
business.
for
Get
it.
started. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think like all the big production's done, because like, the Bunch crew, like they're about to drop a flick with, the whole crew. So like, that's good to see. Like, I'm happy to see that. But for the most part, it feels like everyone's just on their own program now and just doing their own project.
Yeah, it's very reliant on the crews now, and that's something that we've definitely talked about on the show before. Um, it's cool. All right,
Yeah.
let's we'll transition to some of the other viewer questions. I mean, these obviously get sporadic. Steezy skiing. What's the best graphic you ever put out? And I want to add on to it. So, what's been the most popular versus what's been your favorite, if those two are different?
Oh God.
I'm going to say the One Love tee.
Okay.
Yeah.
love
I'm
it.
sticking to that for sure.
Okay.
And I can't even tell you how many we've sold.
We made that tea so long ago. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One Love. That's a close tie though with our Rasta Lion. Our lion print was hands down one of my favorites for years. That's hands down. Yeah. So One Love and Rasta Lion and for my answer. For
Yeah,
sure.
and those have been the best selling as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thousands of each for sure. They're both still on the shelf because people still want them all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Timeless shirts for sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
timeless.
timeless. That's a great,
Yeah.
great word for it. All right, Binging Boulders. Are you ever gonna do a ski collab again? He said, "Are you ever gonna make skis again?" But it really was a collab.
That's probably that's up in the air, to be honest. I mean, we might do something again with Deviation, but nothing's set in stone right now.
Yeah, kind of back to product development. More often than not, if we wanted to, like, let's say make gloves, we would reach out to friends of ours that make gloves. We'd say, hey, we want to do this with you. We're not trying to compete with you guys. We're trying to, share our market share with your market share. Here you go. Collaborating with other like-minded individuals in the space is what I believe is hands down the best way to go.
Yeah.
And like when we did do like the HG ski stuff, then we're running into warranty and all that stuff, and it's back and forth with AG, and or with HG, it just kind of became a headache, to be honest. So it might just be best for us to stay out of the way with actually selling the skis.
Yeah. Cool. All right. We got speaking of collaborations, we got Snow_Sauce. How did the Jokic, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly,
It's
MVP?
Jokic. Yeah.
Yeah, how did the MVP shirt come up?
So a good homie of mine, he works for the team. He's the VP of media relations. So he got us plugged, and then I just been working with the strength coach, who is like Nicola's right hand man. He was the one that was like pushing him the whole time, letting him know like, yo, you can be the MVP of the league. And yeah, that's how the connection worked. And we're actually printing the second round since he won back to back. We're printing the second round right now, actually.
Oh my God, that's sick. I mean, Paul, I see your personal Instagram stories as like huge sports fans. How stoked were you on making that happen?
Oh, it was dream come true. Like I
Yeah.
said, like that was the biggest collaboration I've ever been a part of. And when he's like on the court accepting the MVP award and both of his brothers have tall tees on, it's like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like just epic, absolutely epic.
Yeah.
And so like it's all about the relationships. Like that's what this business is always been about, is the relationships. It's never about the money, it's never about fame. It's about the community and making friends with all the best people in the world, and like wouldn't change it for a thing.
Yep.
Definitely.
I've been teasing Felipe. He's the strength coach. I'm like, yo, you got to get Nicola in here to come press his own shirts. So we're hoping we can get him in the print shop, and we'll get him on the press pressing his own shirts.
Yeah. All right, that's sick.
Yeah.
Let's see. Shuan, however you pronounce it. Apologies. Do you ever plan to open a pop-up shop on the East Coast?
That would be dope.
That would be dope.
We haven't really done much like pop-up stuff.
I think a future collab would be more of, it seems like every ski town has its own like ski shop. I think it would be more of a, how do we collab with that ski shop, and then also take over, and I don't say take over, but somewhat of a corner of their store can be, designated tall tea. I think I could see something like that going on in the coming years.
The nice thing about our business model too, though, is we do everything directly through the website. We only work with a handful of retailers. Like if you want tall tea gear, it's like the best way to get it is to hit the website.
Yeah, or the app. I think it was around the 420 promotion. That was the first time I downloaded the app. I was completely blown away by how, that's the real deal right there.
Yep, that's a game changer for sure. So we've been running the app for a little over a year now, I think.
Yeah. That is sick. I mean, so that person was asking about the East Coast. It seems like this has always been a Colorado-based brand, like at its core, where it was developed where you are now. How worldwide is the distribution? Are you sending this all over?
Yeah, it's all over the world. And that was like the best thing about starting it in Breck, because people from all over the world would come to Breck and then take it back home. And then that's what helped spread the word too. But yeah, I mean, we're talking probably over 100 different countries we've shipped to.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a Tall Tea Productions Japan page.
Yeah, Tall Tea Korea, and so, and those are just like reps. Like my boy Hiroshi, he's the man in Japan, and he's like been our guy over there. So he's been spreading the word really good.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. I think. Do you guys look back on where you first started, and could you have ever imagined it was going to be as big as it is now? It's incredible. Talking 100+ countries for distribution, and it started in Breck.
I think manifesting your future is very real. If you believe something's going to be big and you want to put your heart and soul into it, and you go about it for the right reasons, you're probably going to get that, and it's probably going to happen. And so Paul and I would always talk about, because we lived in Breck, so we'd drive to Denver to go pick up the shirts and drive home or whatever it might be. We'd have, let's say, 3 hours of windshield time just to bullshit and catch up. And it was always about where we were going. And so there was so much good energy just put out in the universe that says, hey, we're gonna we're going to be on every shelf in this capacity. We're going to make sure we're in every town that has a ski lift. We got to be there. Let's do it, man. This is how we're going to get it done. This is how we're going to attack this. And so I believe that those are a lot of the things. So, could we have ever thought of it? I mean, yes, and it's just so awesome that it's come to fruition this way. Very, very blessed, very humbled. That's
yeah,
a fair
but
answer,
I mean,
yeah.
It wasn't just us two. It's the whole community that,
It takes a
if you
village.
bought a
Yeah.
sticker, if you've, a beanie, put up a t-shirt, not even rep the brand, but just had good things to say, like all of that accumulates to where we are today. It's not a two-man show. It's everyone that's been involved since the very beginning.
Well said.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, and I know that entrepreneurs usually have the mindset that they've never made it, but have you guys had a holy shit, we've made it moment with this brand, whether seeing it, in a certain movie or like going to a random place in the world and being like, oh, it's, this is like a random pocket and it's still here. Like, have you had
it was always dope when Henrik or Vinny or homies repping during the X Games and both our phones would blow up. Yo, what's up with Henrik rocking the tall tee? Like that was always a big moment when the boys were on the national stage and
or Oakley's calling. Can we do a collab?
Those milestones for sure.
Yeah, those are some pretty cool moments of calling Paul. Like, you would not believe the call I just got, dude. This is awesome. Let's figure this out.
And so how it worked with Oakley that was just trade. Like we made a bunch of gear for Tanner, and then they sent us golf bags, some duffel bags.
They're like, just shop the website, send us what you want, and we're like, okay.
Some golf polos. So that was fun for sure.
Yeah,
shit, they hooked it up. That's
that's
really sick.
They came correct. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought they were calling because of a lawsuit saying, hey, why is our athlete wearing your product instead of our product? Like, what's the wrong with the picture here?
Yep.
Yeah. Sick. All right. Toby McGuire fan page asks, is there a way to get a job at Tall Tee other than as a sponsored rider?
At the moment, we're not hiring.
Is that a common question you guys get from people in the ski scene?
He can send his resume to info@tallteeproductions.com.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to send a resume, but yeah, at the moment we're not hiring anyone.
And more often than not, if someone is jumping in, it's going to be on like an intern level. Hey, I want to come spend time in Denver. I want to get the Colorado life. Is there some support I can offer as an intern? Things like that is probably going to be the best avenue to get involved with the inner circle of Tall Tee if that's the goal.
Yep. The very first intern we ever had was Will Braco. And he came in at 16 years old. He was still in high school, and he came in. He worked with us for a month, and after he finished high school, he came back and worked with me for maybe a year, and then he ended up moving out to New York and pursuing his own career. But yeah, that's the best way to do it is to just come in, intern, and then see what happens from there.
Yeah. Yep. And so, what sort of people do you have on your team? Do you have finance people, accounting people, people making shirts? No. How big of an operation are you running?
We're talking two of us.
All right, so it's
literally two people for sure.
Yeah,
I manage all the business side, and then I have my girl Gretchen. She helps with fulfillment, folding t-shirts, cutting stickers, all the manual labor stuff.
Shit, yeah. So when they're reaching out to the company, they're getting you.
Yep.
On the other end.
Yeah, we are the definition of small business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was replying to some emails about someone that ordered two of the same thing right before this call. Yep. It's like, hey, I ordered two of the same shirts. Can we swap it? We're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No problem.
If you're sending a text on the text line, I'm the one that's responding.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what about the interns? Are they just stuffing envelopes full of stickers? What do you guys have them doing?
Yeah. Or they'll help with
folding shirts. They're doing everything that Gretchen's doing.
There's graphic design that's getting done. There's, help on the back end of the website and stuff, whatever we can put them to use. So
sick. All right. So we're rounding the corner towards the end. Got a couple questions left. Nate asks, who do you think is up next in the ski scene?
Ooh, that's your question.
Well, Young Snow, he's on the program, so I'm putting my eggs in that basket.
Hell yeah, Josh, you agree? I'm not sure how plugged in you are.
I have to agree on that one. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Aaron asks, and this might be a difficult one. How tall is too tall?
As far as the t-shirt?
Yeah, I think yeah. In terms
I
of
mean, if it's
equipment.
hanging below your knees, it's probably too tall. Would be my 2 cents.
Even if you got like the really bunched up pants that are like basically just at your ankles.
I mean, whenever I rocked it to you, it was like always thigh level.
Okay,
If you're
sick.
going below the knees, I think you're going towards dress for
I mean,
sure.
the goal is you're the
Keep things in proportion.
yeah, and if you're wearing a jacket, like the tag should come out just you shouldn't see much more than the tag out front of the jacket.
Yeah,
But once again, to each their own. Everyone's got their own
yeah.
stance.
There's
Yeah.
definitely some weird combos: skinny pants, big shirts, and just
Yeah.
so.
That's,
I mean, at the end of the day, if it makes you happy, like that's what it's about,
yeah.
So like, I'm not here to like clown on people's style. Like, people are gonna wear what they want to wear, and if they support the brand, we support them.
Yeah, it's all love. It's all
It
love.
is. It really
Yeah.
is.
All right, last question from Grant Harris. What's your advice for people getting started in the clothing game? And I mean, you could even take it just to in the entrepreneurial world too, just getting started on your own.
I'm gonna let you handle that one.
I believe that it's really important to like what started Talty was something was missing in that and you couldn't get it. So when I talk about how or what product you're going to do next, well, the next product we're going to do most likely will be something that you can't get yet. And so understanding that if there's a hole in a market and your ability to fill that hole is going to be everything as far as a starting point. Now, if you truly want to do some, maybe there's a shirt that you want to do or design that you want to do that doesn't exist, run with that because there's going to be, an audience for it 100%. So for us, when it comes to someone getting started as an entrepreneur, make sure you get into it for the right reasons. Remember, if you're going to lose anybody's money, make sure it's your own. That's going to be key.
And don't plan on making a bunch of money when you start.
Yeah,
just plan on spending a bunch of money.
Get into it for the love, and the road will chart itself out because you'll learn simple business practices that will allow you to then apply that to whatever professional career you want to do, or allow you to make your dream a professional career. It's like that. It's really going to be up to the individual, but fill the hole and make sure that it's making people's days better. So yeah, whatever it is, bring some good vibes with it.
Yeah. And Paul, what are your thoughts on just like your? I mean, it could even be your journey. Like, what has helped you continue to build even when the road's been uncertain?
Just the passion and having the love for what I'm doing, like when you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. Right. I mean, but entrepreneurship, it's lonely, you're on an island, you're doing it on your own most of the time. So, you gotta have a strong will and, keep your eyes on the prize. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. You gotta stay even keel. And, if the love's there, you'll be successful. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's been sentiments that have been echoed by other entrepreneurs I've talked to. And like the one that I always hear all the time is like you were saying, Josh, is find a problem and then be the solution. And I think that's uh that's that's very valuable advice. Like if you're doing what everybody else is doing, then you're just part of the pack, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How are you going to stick out?
And that's honestly, that's a very hard road to stay successful with and to stay with because you're following the next trend.
Yeah.
And trends come and go. And if you want to build a business, it needs to be here for a long time and a good time, not just one or the other. you know?
Sick.
And, lucky for us, it seems like this tall trend is stuck around, even with the other trends coming and going. Like there's still kids buying tall t-shirts and there's still kids putting clips on the internet, repping gear. So, I mean, like, as long as that's still happening, we're going to continue to make clothes. So hopefully the future continues to stay bright.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So you guys got any closing thoughts? Anything that we didn't touch on before I let you guys go?
No, just want to shout out all the homies that have repped the brand, that have showed support. It's a laundry list of names. I could go through them all, but we'd probably be here for 10, 15 minutes. But some of the most important ones would be, Adam DeLorme, Liam Downey, Tanner Rainville, Ahmet Dadali, Mike Hornbeck, Jaron Stadler, Magnus Granier, that whole bunch crew, the 4x9 crew, John Ware, Eric Iberg, Inspired Media, Phil and Henrik, Tanner Hall. Like it's just on and on and on and on. But like so much love to all you guys. Like we wouldn't be here without any of you. So, big respect and much love.
100% echo that. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. And where can they find and stay up to date with everything you're doing?
Well, we're on all the socials. So Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you download the app. It's available on Google and Apple. And then sign up for the text line if you're in the States or Canada. And you can find all that stuff on our website at the new domain, www.talltea.com.
Wow. That's a great domain. How did it take some finagling to get that one, or did
we actually just got it like
it sure did
a month ago.
They've been trying to sell it to us for years, and we finally got it.
Yeah, we dropped productions. Now we got talltea.com. So hopefully that brings in a little bit more traffic for us too.
Huge. Paul, Josh, it was awesome having you guys on. It was awesome to get to meet you and talk to you. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. You guys coming on. This was sick.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ethan. We appreciate it, bro.
Pleasure's ours. Thank you, Ethan.
Yep.
Appreciate it.